Okay, so in this video, I'm going to introduce the concept of risk management, and specifically so with the three types of risks known as the predictable risks. Okay, but before I do that, I'll start off with a brief story about a family. Okay, I find that stories have always helped me, so hopefully this will help you. So we've got a family here, a husband, a wife, who's also a father, who's also a mother, and also their daughter Susan and their son Kevin. Okay, so here's their financial uh, story. Okay, so on the financial side, I'll put their income on this side and I'll put the expense on this side. So on the side of income, John makes about $3,000 a month, okay, per month, and Mary makes exactly the same. She makes $3,000 a month. So total combined income is $6,000 per month. Okay. Now, like any other family, they have expenses. Okay. So expenses. Okay. And I'm not gonna list them all, but let's say their monthly expense is about $5,000. Okay, per month. This is their expense. That's their income. Therefore, the net for this family at the end of each month, they have a net. Okay, so this is income minus expense, so 6,000 minus 5,000 minus the 5,000, that's their expense. Okay, so this family is saving about $1,000 per month. Okay, and now you as an agent, you're gonna come here and you are going to try to help this family deal with risks. Well, what risks, you might say? So let's introduce the concept of predictable risks. Okay, so predictable risks. So these are risks that families are better off planning um, against, okay, so that in case they happen, then they know how to deal with them, or they have a solution for them. So, and I'm going to list these risks here really briefly. One is, okay, the first risk is the risk of death. Okay, so John might die, or Susan, or sorry, Mary might die, and in that case, this income will be affected. So they don't have 6,000 anymore, even though their expenses might be still 5,000, right? So let's take an example of this. Okay, let's take this as an example. Let's say that John, this is hypothetical now, okay, dies. Well, what happens to the income? Okay, so their income now, what that means is their household income, instead of being 6,000, we have to subtract 3,000. Okay, because of John dying. What that means is now this family is only left with $3,000 income, right? Now let's say the expenses are the same. Okay, so what if the expenses are let's say 5,000 still? Okay, what does that mean for this family? Well, what that would mean is that their new income, 3,000, that's only Mary's income, minus the expense of 5,000 per month, you have this family under by $2,000 every month. Okay, so this is one risk that this family is carrying, the risk of death. If Mary dies or if John dies, this is the outcome, right? They won't have enough money to cover the expenses month to month to month. Now, there are other risks associated with death, or other sides to it, other um, uh, but this is good enough for now. Okay, the risk of death. Now, the next risk we're going to introduce is the risk, okay, we'll use the color blue here, actually the color black, is the risk of disability. Okay, so what do we mean by disability? Now let's say for this example, let's say that Mary gets disabled at work. Okay, Mary is disabled. Okay, maybe it's short term. Maybe she was disabled, for a year and she couldn't work that year. All right. Now let's say Mary was getting government, okay, aid, some sort. Okay, let's say she was the government gave her 50%, right? So $1,500 per month as an income. Well, let's look at their income situation now. So if we look at their income situation now, we have John who's still making 3,000, right? Plus Mary now making that 1,500, right? Total now is $4,500 income. Okay. Now let's say the expenses, okay, remain the same. Just for example, okay. So the expenses, what I meant to write. Okay. Let's say the expenses are still 5,000. Okay. Now what happens to their financial situation? Well, that's minus $500 every month that they don't have. Okay, so that's another risk is disability. What if Mary gets disabled? Okay, what if John dies, and vice versa? Now the third type of risk is called so risk number three, okay, is called an old age risk. Basically what this means is let's say John and Mary, okay, are now retired, they're happy, okay, and they're retired, and let's say the house is paid off and so forth, and the kids are out. However, when they are old, they are, what do we know? They might be unable to work, okay, and so they might not have saved enough, okay, not enough savings. And that's a risk because what if they expected to live, so I'm just going to put here, what if they expected to live until 70, okay, but what if now they're 85 and they don't have enough savings? Well, that's a risk because they won't have income. And so we will deal with insurance product and so forth that will try to address these three risks: the risk of dying, the risk of being disabled, and the risk of being old and not having enough in savings and not having enough or adequate income to support their lifestyle. Okay, thank you.